All right. All right. Podcast listeners, welcome. Thank you for joining me here on Story Time with Dave. And I'm your host, Dave. And, I'm feeling bothered by things because I was all over social media, which is a great place to go to get bothered. Have you noticed that? It's one of the best places to go if you want to deliberately bother yourself. Highly recommend it. So, what is bothering me? Well, several things are bothering me. I don't even know where to start. I mean, I suppose I could start here on Facebook, where there is a group. There is a group on Facebook for comedians. It's called Comedy Complaints. And I found out about it via Peter Clark Deutsch and Sean Barry, which is the French pronunciation. My nemesis. Those are my arch nemesis. And so I am a member of this group, and it's the worst group, I think, on Facebook. It's just a place where unknown comics, like myself, I'm not above this, go and they complain, and they make these stupid, annoying complaints that it's like, what? There's no point to it. They're just like, they're annoying. I mean, I opened it right now. Here's one of the complaints. There are comedy communities and there are comedy cliques. Fuck your clique. That's what William said. Get over it, man. Socialize. Learn to socialize. What do you mean cliques? They're just comics who like each other more than others. So yeah, you get I guess if you want to call it a clique, you make it sound like it's high school or something. It's not. Maybe you're just not particularly likable. You ever think of that? And if you are, then you need to be portraying that more to the comics. And if they don't accept that, then you probably don't want to hang out with those guys, huh? Right? But go ahead, have at it. Complain on Facebook about it, why don't you? Now, what else? I don't know, man. They just make complaints about you. I was going to troll. I really wanted to. I even typed it out, but I decided against it because I was going to troll and I was going to write, you guys seeing all these, because it's kind of like a woke group a little bit. So it's a bunch of like, half the comics on there are fake. They're not actual comics, which is a whole thing. We'll get into that. But I wanted to just write like, you guys been seeing all these all-female comedy shows? Terrible. Can you believe this? Something like that, just to rile them up. Because that's, I don't know. I don't know how you'd be able to get through that, an all-women comedy show, if you're a man watching that. And now, I mean, I do have more sympathy for women who go and watch all-male comedy shows. I do. But is this an offensive thing to say if I say male comics are funnier on average? Is that offensive? I don't think it is. Let me explain. Think about the comedy community. Think about stand-up comedians. Think about the percentage of stand-up comedians who are men. What do you think? You think there's more men? Certainly. I mean, I've read plenty of woke articles about how hard it is for women to break into the comedy scene. It's so hard. Because it's so uncomfortable for them being in a male-dominated field. It must be so hard. Gosh, so uncomfortable. But clearly, based on those articles that I've read, it leads me to believe that most comedians are men, even if it's just by 15-20%, right? So maybe it's 70% male comics to 30% female comics. Well, just based on that alone, one would, you could be led to the conclusion that because only a small percentage of the overall percentage of comics, take all the comics, that's 100%. How many of those comics are actually funny? 10%. Really funny, I mean. 10%. Now, take the 10% and then apply the male-female division there. So it's 7% are men and 3% of women are women of that 10% of actually funny people. Does that make sense? Is it sexist? I think it's statistics. But people will claim it to be sexist, of course. Naturally. And I know these women who get on shows but they don't go to mics. And then they do the same act. It's like they got 15 minutes. So I don't know. Do your thing. You'll keep getting booked because of your gender. Or no, not your gender. Because gender is a social construct. And I've been trying to change my pronouns and change my gender because I want to get booked on more shows. And they won't let me. For some reason, they won't let me. And I read online that they're not supposed to question it. That's like one of their tenets. These gender people, the pronoun people. They're like, don't question people. If they tell you their pronouns and they are non-binary, then take their word for it. And so I'm like, great. So this works for me. And then I'm going around telling people I'm they, and no one seems to believe me, which is upsetting and offensive. And it's not right. And so this comedy complaints group, it's just terrible. And honestly, it's like, God damn it, man. It's just not, you're not a comedian then. You're not a comedian then. There's a lot of fake comedians out there. A lot of them. I mean, it's like they're not fake comedians. They're just not comedians. They just do comedy. These are people who do comedy, but they're not comedians. And they're annoying. And they kind of speak for comedians. They speak on behalf of comedians. And then I sit there and I listen and I get frustrated. And I go, this is not a comedian. You're not a comedian. But so why are you speaking on behalf of comics? It makes no sense to me. I was listening to this podcast called The Past Podcast. Stand Up New York. And they were talking about Louis. And I don't even know these people who were on. I know that guy John Bormeo. He was the only one I knew. And he's a good dude. But I was listening, and there was just no one They were talking about Louis C.K. at Skankfest. I can't believe people are still talking about this. That Louis is still a hot topic. Get over it. It's over, man. He's been punished for a crime that wasn't even a crime, and it wasn't even bad what he did. You could argue that it was weird, but the way I see it is, in all honesty, is that he didn't do anything wrong, and he's just being punished by the mob in this moral superiority game that we play, and they just won't let it go. And then I heard these guys on that podcast. No one was defending him. I mean, one of the guys was kind of defending him, But even he was like, well, I'm not defending anything he did, but... And I'm like, well, if I was on there, I would defend what he did. And he should just be able to go... He should be doing theaters again. But people are such queers. Am I allowed to? May I? It just makes no sense. I'm like, you guys are comedians. Do you know how few comics there are in the world? Especially working? None. There's so few. A few thousand. You know, we're talking about billions of people. There's a few thousand comics. So you gotta hold each other down. We're supposed to be... Not supposed to be. But wouldn't it be nice if we kind of looked out for one another? Because we're the ones who push back against the culture. Or at least we were. Now you got a bunch of these fucking lame people who go on stage and then they rant about, you know, straight white men. They just play it safe. What could be easier? They go for claps. They don't really care about getting laughter. They go for claps. And then somehow they're confused that they don't get as much laughter. Or they just have really inflated, you know, sense of self-worth. Because everyone's always clapping at what they say. So they must be a hero. But I don't know, man. It makes no sense. So you had all these guys and they were just shitting on Louis. And one of the guys was like, she just came back too soon. And I like that at least someone else was like, well, how long should he have waited? And then that received no straightforward answer. No one ever has an answer for these things. This was too soon? Okay, how long should he have waited then? A year? 2? And then they'll go, well, I don't know, but he should have waited longer. Fucking loser. I can't believe it, man. It just sucks, especially that it's him. He's the greatest. I don't care. I mean, like, whatever you want to say, he's one of the 5 best comedians of all time, period. And objectively, he's one of the 10 best comedians of all time, if you want to make it objective. Some people will say, well, it's subjective to put him top 5. Fine. But you cannot put him less than top 10. And whatever way you want to cut it, he's fucking hilarious. So the fact that people won't stick up for him when he didn't do anything wrong is insane. And that turned out to be a big... In my view of a lot of these comics that I know, that turned out to be a big thing. Where it was kind of like a... Like, I feel like it says a lot about a comedian. Those who, like, stayed with Louis on his side and those who abandoned him. I feel like it says a lot about you as a comedian, depending on which course of action you took. To me, and this is something that I have, when I hear it, I just go, oh. When I hear someone trashing Louis and what a monster he is, I just go, oh, you're one of those. Okay. Well, thank you for revealing yourself. You're one of these non-comics. Okay. Got it. So in a way, I appreciate it that they reveal their true selves. I don't know, man. And everything I just said through this whole podcast, there are people who would listen to this and hate everything I'm saying. And they would think I'm a horrible person. Just for defending Louis, a man who didn't do anything wrong. He just asked women if he can jerk off in front of them. And they said, yeah. That's what I'm saying. You want to argue that it's weird? Okay. Some people get pissed on. What the fuck? Some people get shit on their chests. Some people want their significant other or just a stranger to shit on them. So compared to that, Louis pretty regular. And then people are going to say that he abused his power. I don't like that. I don't like that argument. Here's the deal. What are we going to do with women, right? You going to treat them like children? Or are you going to treat them like adults? I've said this before. What are you going to do? And with this whole women's movement and the Me Too movement, it confuses me. Because on the one hand, feminists are like, we are women, we are equal, treat us like equals. And then you go, okay. And then something like Louis happens and they go, these women were crippled by fear and they simply could not leave. And it's like, okay, so they're children. Okay, so fine, just pick one. If you want me to treat women like infants, I'll do that. If those are the rules you're deciding on. But if you want me to treat them like equals, I would much prefer that. I would rather that. So let's go with that. But then you can't just flip whenever you want. You can't just flip and say, well, these women, they have no accountability here. Of course not. They were crippled in fear of this evil, evil man, this monster. The fuck out of here, dude. Like, just leave, man. You're an adult, right? That's what we decided. You're an equal, right? That's what we decided? Okay, leave. Jesus Christ. But then if you're going to go the other way, then we'll just treat women like infants. And that's got its own, that's got its own things that goes along with that. So just make a decision. What am I to do? Am I supposed to treat women like children? Or am I supposed to treat them like adult human beings? Just let me know. Write to me, let me know on Instagram or something. Give me a shout. Tell me what you think. And then I'll act accordingly. But this whole Louis nonsense has me thinking, oh, they would like to be treated like little kids. Okay. So I'll try that. It makes no sense. It really makes no sense. I'm getting a phone call from New York. Let's see who it is. Hello? Hello? It's the fucking Yakuza, dude. You heard that? They get their spokeslady to reach out to me every now and then. I'm like, look, leave it. I hope you heard it. When I held it up to the mic, I hope you heard it. Well, I don't know, man. And what else? I mean, like, I think that stuff just becomes offensive even if you say it and but it's true. Because it's not objectively true. But it's like what I said earlier, that because there's way more men who do comedy, you would reason to believe that on average men there are more skilled male comics, just because it's just a numbers thing. And look at the professional comics. Who are the greatest comics in history? Give me the top 25 greatest comics in history. And how many women are you going to put in there? Because there's no way, if you're being honest, that you're going to put more than like 8 women in there. 8 to 10, maybe. 10 would be generous. Because who are you putting in there? It's like, for me, Sarah Silverman, easily one of the best. Maria Bamford, tremendous. I mean, I like Ellen a lot, but she doesn't do comedy, really. I mean, for like 15 years, she didn't really do comedy, so I don't even know that you'd be allowed to put her there. You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna put Amy Schumer in there? Come on. And I'm not an Amy Schumer hater. I'm really not. And I think that she gets a lot of shit that is not deserved. But come on, you're gonna put her top 25? No, you're not. Natasha Leggero, you're gonna put her top? Come on. And these are skilled comedians. But we're talking about the top 25 ever, right? But is that messed up that I say that? Because then there's an argument too from activist women, and they say like, well, women have been boxed out of the profession. And if that's true, then yeah, you would expect that most of the best ever are men. So I don't know, dude. I'm not saying that men are inherently better than women at comedy. Yeah, I am. No, I'm not. Yeah, I am. No, I'm not. Yeah, I am. What am I even saying? It's like, what even got me here? The all-female comedy shows. So if I assume that an all-female comedy show will be a little lower quality, does that make me a sexist? I don't think so. And I think it would only retain quality if it was mostly women in the audience. But if you had like a half male, half female audience, then I don't know about that. And all this shit that men get for joking about the same stuff, it's equally as true for women, if not more so, from what I've seen. If people heard this who are not in the loop, who have become my audience in a way, they would hate me. So this is like the third or fourth episode in a row that I'll get canceled. Which is all I really want, is to get canceled. I don't know, dude. It's like, I just want more credibility comedically so badly, as so many of us do. But I just want weight. I want more weight behind my words, because I really do feel this way, and I feel like it won't, my opinion's not going to change, even when I do have credibility, about these non-comics who just do comedy. They're not comedians, though. There's a lot of things that make you a real comedian. And those things include, like, how are you going to be so easily offended? That's not what a comedian is. That's not what a comedian does. You know, you're not going to call for another comedian to be canceled because you don't like something that they did or said, even though it wasn't illegal. And even like that British comedian Jo Brand, you know her? I didn't know her. I just saw this clip where she was talking about the milkshaking, and then she made a joke where she was like, well, they should put battery acid or something. But it was a joke. And I don't like that Antifa bullshit and the milkshaking, but I don't care about a comedian making a joke. So I defend her. I remember people got mad at Trevor Noah. I don't really like The Daily Show. I don't think Trevor Noah is particularly funny, but he made this joke about like Indians and Pakistanis. It was funny, and he got in trouble for it. And I defend that man, because he's a comedian. I defend that comedian. And I defend Jo Brand. I defend that comedian, because they made jokes and people got mad. You know what? Let me amend what I said. If you think differently about Louis because of his actions, then I guess I could see how you could still retain your comedianship. You know what I mean? I can see a way in which you can still be a comedian and disavow Louis' actions. But when Louis got in trouble the second time for making the Parkland joke, that's where you can tell if someone's a comedian or not. That's where it is. Like Judd Apatow is not a comedian. He's a movie director. He's not a comedian. That's why he got so worked up when Louis made a joke. And Judd, even though he's a comedy director, these are comedy films, you would expect him to understand what comedy is, but he's not a comedian, so he doesn't deeply understand it. He really doesn't. He seems to have a very hard time with the actual deep understanding of what comedy is. So he's not a comedian, and that's why he got so mad. And if you claim you're a comedian and you got mad about Louis' Parkland joke, then you're not. That's all. But you can work that out. You can work on yourself. And you can become a comedian. It's possible. Some of us are born with it. Some of us have to work on it over time and become this. And that's okay. You do it however you want to do it. But the worst thing is when non-comedians get a lot of work and and specials and stuff, and then real comedians don't get that time. That's the problem. You got these theater people, and they try to do comedy, and they can fake it, and they'll get on. I don't know. They're good at selling themselves and stuff, which is a skill, and I respect it. But I just can't respect you as a comedian, as a true comedian, because you are not. That's all. Is there anything else to say? I feel like I've really said a lot here. I hope you don't get mad at me. If I was listening and I'm a woman, oh, you know what? I identify as a woman now. So you can't really get that mad. I was just talking about my own people, my batches. So you can't really get that mad at me, right? Because I identify as a woman now. The next time you see me, I might not be. But for now, and in fact, I'm going to retroactively re-identify for the past hour. So for the past hour, I have been a woman. Okay? And I got to go to work soon, so I'll probably switch back to being a man while I'm at work. I don't want to freak my boss out or anything. And then maybe after work, I'll switch it up again. Maybe I'll become a novi gender or non-binary, some other type of non-binary. I might become plural. I might become they, plural, not singular. We'll see where it goes. We will see where it goes. But I don't know, man. Maybe we need segregation. That's what we need. We need segregation, but not racial segregation. We need comedic segregation. And we get the real comedians to go, and and then we split them up. And the fake comedians, they go to the gulag, right? A lot of them are pretty left leaning, some pretty far left leaning. So send them to the gulag, because that's what they want. They want communism. Send them to the gulag. Oh yeah, Trump got in trouble. Trump got in trouble again for being racist. Like, if you thought he was racist already, why do you get surprised when this shit happens? It's such fake outrage. You were calling him racist in 2015. And then now it's 2019 and he says something racist and you go, oh my gosh, he said something racist. It's like, yeah, dude, it's been going on for years. You were fucking pissed about it every time, but you're somehow surprised about it every time? What, you got fetal alcohol syndrome, baby? What are you doing? Oh, God. And I think he was only talking to Ilhan. And as we've discussed on this podcast many times before, Ilhan Omar hates Jews. And she's married to her brother, which is fucking weird. And so I don't like that in my country. And I do think Ilhan Omar should go back to Somalia. I do think that. I mean, AOC, she is a citizen of this nation, even though she bothers me. And I don't think AOC hates Jews. I don't think she's big on Jews, but I don't think she hates Jews. But Ilhan hates Jews. So yeah, you go back to Somalia, bitch. That's what I say to her. Go back to Somalia. Think about what you've said and never come back, please. Thank you. Is that xenophobic? No, because she's an American citizen, right? Ilhan Omar is an American citizen. So if I tell her to go back to Somalia because she hates Jews, that's not xenophobic. It would be xenophobic if she was an outsider, but she is a citizen. So I actually just dodged a bullet there. You see what I did? This is called manipulation, but I'm manipulating for the right cause. I'm manipulating to get this Somalian Jew hater out of my country. Get her out of my country. If anyone, this is bonus. That was like some bonus. If anyone who like, I am curious if anyone like hate listens to my podcast. If anyone listens to it deliberately to get bothered by what I say, because I've hate listened through podcasts before. Usually they're more political and it's like very left-leaning people and they bother me. But I'll listen to the whole thing just to get worked up and then go write about it or something. I wonder if people do that with my podcast, because if they do, then hello. Good to see you. Thank you for listening. I love you. And you get a little bonus there at the end. Now you're probably full-blown livid. So you're welcome. I do what I can. I'm here to help. And I totally, man, that's the thing. It's a comedy podcast, people. I stand by nothing I say. That was another thing that I heard in the, I forget which podcast it was, but one of the guys was like, I stand by everything I said. Me, I'm the opposite. I stand by nothing that I say. So if you get pissed off about something I say today, you know what I'm going to tell you tomorrow? I don't stand by that. I didn't mean it. If anyone ever gets mad at me and comes up to me about something I've said on the podcast, I'm going to say the same thing if they get mad at me and I come off stage. I'm going to be like, oh, it's comedy, dude. No, I didn't mean that. And even if I did, you can't tell. That sucks, dude. That must suck, bro. That's the benefit that we get as comedians, okay? I hate to break it to you. And if you're a comedian, you should love that. If you're a comedian, you get upset by that. You're what I was calling. You're the fake comedian. You're the non-comic, right? You should appreciate that. That's like our greatest benefit in society. Like, yeah, we take risks. You should. Sometimes we bother people. But I would never explain a joke to someone and be like, no, well, but you don't understand. What I was saying was, I would never do that. I would just say, it was a joke. You didn't get it. That's okay. But next time, don't go up to the comedian all angry after. Just go, oh, wait. I remember what that guy Dave told me. He told me that I just didn't get it. Yes, that's all. You just didn't get it. It's okay. Doesn't make you a bad person. Doesn't make you dumb. You just didn't get it. That joke is for other people who get it. And you just didn't get it. It's okay. Why are you getting sad? Come on, don't be sad. Chin up. You'll get it next time. You'll get the next joke. Come on. You're getting so mad. Don't do that. Don't get so mad. Come on. You're an adult, right? Why are you getting so mad about words? That's what a child would do. They would get really mad about words. But you, not you. You're an adult. Don't get so mad about words. You faggot? Oh, no, he didn't. Yeah, I did. You see? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. That was a joke. Or was it? Oh. You never know. Keep people on their toes. Manipulate people always. That's really all I gotta say, folks. Thank you for listening. You know I love you. I'll see you next time. Bye.